All right. So Bitcoin is pretty much $1,000 away from new all-time highs. We've had a variety of swing trades, literally one alerted around 20K down over here, and then 3 or 4 of them on the way up. Honestly, I missed probably the last leg of this from like 40 to 60, but this, we had a lot of swing trades, and now Bitcoin's near all-time highs. And historically, after Bitcoin and Ethereum have their runs, you tend to see altcoins play some catch up in the months following. You might see Bitcoin go sideways and the altcoins catch up. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at the top 20 cryptos pretty much by market cap. I believe all of these are tradable on Coinbase, and I'm going to be seeing how they look because a lot of them are actually still near multi-year lows, although Bitcoin is near all-time highs. And we're going to see what the technicals look like on some of them, and I'm just kind of going to go over the top 20 here. So yeah, Bitcoin itself, I mean, just a quick breakdown of how it's looking. Let's keep it simple. It's a make or break area. Okay, the big thing here is whether or not it's going to be able to break all-time highs or reject, this certain level. I think if we're going to start to see a little bit of a sell-off, the closest level to look for support is 65K. And then after that, we have 53K. You can see that there's a high over here, kind of a high here, and then a recent high. If we really zoom in, because I'm very zoomed out on that chart, we were actually seeing a little bit of consolidation just under 53K. Those are your two levels of support. If you want the next resistance, if we do make new all-time highs, and again, this is of course if we get it confirmed with the backtest and everything, your 1272 Fibonacci extension would be 83K. All right, moving on to Ethereum, we can see that if we draw this line right here, 3580, this high from April of 2022, you're slightly above that. Your next level is going to be 4029 from this high, then 4370, and then 4881 in terms of support. I don't see a lot looking left on the chart here except for this low from September 20th of 2021, which I guess does line up with this high in January of this year. So that's all the way down at 2648. Maybe if you start to pull back on Ethereum, I would just maybe use fibs there instead. But those are the two top big names. I really want to focus on the altcoins today. I did line them up in order of the largest to smallest market caps as of, what's the date? March 4th. So getting started, I'm just kind of going to run through these as quick as possible. BNB, for the ones that have already kind of gone up a lot, I'm not going to spend too much time on. Obviously, the big area here was 202. That was a much better area to be adding multi-year support really since 2021. And really, there's not a lot of resistance. You have a small one here at 458, then you have 687. We take a look at SOL. It was a pretty nice round of consolidation here. If we draw that trend line there, and then I guess this was your breakout point on February 29th. I think what's very important here is holding that 126 high from the end of last year. Your next major level is going to be around 143 because of this high and that low. All right. Still not seeing any charts where it's like everything is setting up. It's a deep value retrace already. Most of these have already run, so that's why I'm kind of going a little bit quicker. We're looking for the ones that could put in a big run that really haven't yet. XRP had a nice breakout over here at the end of February, and that's currently playing out. Next big level is around 73 cents. Cardano, pretty much this was your breakout. I mean, that's the simplest way to chart it. You could probably look at a few different ways, but this one's already run again. I want to look for names that really haven't run yet. If we take a look at Dogecoin, I mean, what can you say here? Absolutely insane. Honestly, 10 cents was the breakout level. It doubled very quickly after breaking 10 cents. It was stuck in a range between 5 and 10 cents for quite some time. And now that it's broken it, it's been a great move. Let's move over to Doge's relative, I guess. SHIB, another crazy move here. Again, this wasn't a multi-year consolidation and it broke out. So not much for me to really unpack there. All right, so now we have some smaller caps. They're not necessarily like small cap cryptos, but smaller than like those top names. AVAX is one of them, and it just recently broke out. This one is one of the first ones where it's like, okay, it hasn't already, I mean, I guess it did run over here, but in terms of the last couple of months, it hasn't seen a huge run. It's just created this triangle pattern. I'd say there's not much resistance up until this zone around 50 to 53 bucks. So maybe a $10 move in the short term is possible here for that make or break area test. Next up is DOT, another pretty big runner, but $10, it's pretty much a key breakout level. This is kind of like a Wyckoff breakout here with the spring down here. Hasn't been above 10 consistently since June of 2022. So yes, it just went from 4 to 10. But look, this is the key level, this $10 area. If you break that, there's not much till 14. And then after that, 23. So keep an eye on that one. Tron, this one's already seen a big run. I'm not even going to go ahead and chart that. Let's keep going. Link, I mean, this was a nice range breakout right here. And then what it actually did was flip the top of the previous range into a support. It's trying to push higher now. I mean, look, there's room up to 28 here as long as it can keep holding 17. Pretty historical levels. But I'm looking for that Easter egg. I know Easter's coming up. I'm trying to find like a good reference. What really is showing some value compared to the others? And of course, please do your due diligence on all of these. Do your own research on what the I was going to say companies, but projects are. This is not the best way to chart a triangle by any means, but Maddox, it's working on it. There's not too much of any clear patterns here, I would say. BCH, I already have this one charted. It was a pretty good setup until about a week ago. I was actually sending a chart of this over to my friend / mentor, Mitch Ray. I'm sure a lot of you know him on YouTube. And this ascending triangle is kind of already played out here. So now I think the second half of the video is where we might be able to see some interesting names. Names that haven't done this. So we're going to skip right over UNI. Litecoin, I know it just had this big spike from 70 to 90. But if we zoom out here, if we really look at the big picture here, what it's pretty much done over the past, not 1, but 2 years, is create consistent higher low, and it's still at a very, very deep retrace, right? If we're going to start to draw out the levels here, apart from the 2020-21, I know I just said that twice, run up, Litecoin is a name that really has been between 30 and 100 for a long time. This major higher low in a long-term range could be what it needs to actually get above 111, and then if it can do that, I mean 111 to 230 is possible. ETC just had a pretty big run, so not much to really update on that one. Same thing for FIL. What about Atom here? Again, short term, yes, it just saw a nice spike, but this is a name that looks quite interesting. So you can see, let me make that a little bit better. 6 to 17 is pretty much the range it's been in for some time, but you can see twice went to the bottom of the range at 6, and this time around it actually went down to around $8. It back tested the 200-day moving average, and now it's running off of that. So I mean, if we're going to draw a supply line right here, it just broke out of it. I don't know if this is going to fully break the range, but a test of 17, if the crypto market still stays hot, is possible here. And then if that breaks, much higher prices than that. Near is pretty new on Coinbase, at least. I mean, what I see on the chart now is like a scuffed cup and handle, but not too much apart from that. APT, short term, I do want to talk about this breakout and back tests. I mean, it's not the best way to chart an ascending triangle, but you can see it's making consistent higher lows. It had supply at 10, broke above it, flipped it into a support. I mean, this one, do some research, but that's a pretty good price accumulation over the past couple of months. STX already ran, IMX already ran, XLM. If we look at that 14-cent area, you just broke above it, right? There's not much until 20 cents. But if we really zoom out here, that's where it's like, wow, this was at one point 80 cents. It's fallen all the way down. It spent some time accumulating. It's making consistent higher lows. There you go. This one is another name that could be one to potentially keep an eye on. So those are pretty much like 20 of like the top market cap ones. I'm going to try and think of other names that we didn't look at, just like off the top of my head, to see if there's anything else we can find. So Tezos is quite low. It's at around $1.40. It just did go up a decent amount, but again, if we look at the larger picture here, if this can break over 150, historically, I mean, I think the bigger level is going to be $2. So 150 to $2 is going to be the resistance zone. If it can get above that, then we're talking maybe $2 to $4. That's a double right there in terms of going to the next resistance. Not much of a pattern there. Let's think of some other names off the top of my head. What about Zcash? You can tell it's been a few years, I guess, since I've really traded a lot of crypto. But Zcash is one of the names I want to make sure we cover. I mean, shorter term, it just broke out of this wedge. But if we go over to the weekly chart, okay, take a look at this weekly. You can see that now pretty much 3 times it has bounced off of roughly $22. So is this great price action long term? Absolutely not. But the risk right now is pretty much down to like 20 bucks, and then that's based off of it 3 times in pretty much the last 6-7 months. And there's not a lot of resistance looking upwards. I mean, I would say 50 bucks is like the next big one. So that's another notable mention. And yeah, there's a lot of them that already have ran. I think we named, 3 or 4 of them that still could do something interesting. And of course, who knows? Bitcoin could keep going as it's been going. But I wanted to look over some of the top cryptos, just show you some simple levels. I'm not going too crazy on the charts with a bunch of different patterns. I'm just drawing out the key levels, and we will see what happens. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button. And I want to try to do a little bit more of these, maybe once a month, just kind of giving updates on how some of these altcoins are looking, because a lot of them do have some interesting setups, and this market could get interesting. Like if we even go back to the weekly charts on some of these, which I might do in the next video, there's a lot to unpack. So those are the key levels on 20 to 30 of the top cryptos by market cap. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that helped. And remember, none of that was financial advice.